everyone, it's Karen from the Geordie Grandma. Welcome back to my channel, and this is part 3 of my Dubrovnik holiday, and this video will be a walk around Dubrovnik Old Town, which is a fortified city in Dubrovnik, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's featured, or parts of it are featured heavily in Game of Thrones, so if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you may notice several places where filming took place. This part in particular was heavily featured in the market scenes in Westeros. So this is the steps down through the main gate into the Old Town Square. It was quite empty on this morning we were there about 9 o'clock. There's the famous fountain. It was quite empty, like I say, but if you go later in the day, so if you go from about 10 o'clock in the morning, it does get absolutely packed. There's cruise ships come into Dubrovnik quite regularly, and it's just filled with tourists. I mean, you couldn't see down this street for people, so I decided to go in at 9 o'clock in the morning to do this this filming, so it wasn't too packed. There's lots of shops and restaurants and cafes in this town. There's something to see everywhere you look. I mean, the buildings are just fantastic. This street was actually used in, I think it was one of the new Star Wars films. I think there's about 5 minutes in the film where you can see this street. Kind of sci-fi'd it up a little bit. But down every little alleyway there are cafes and restaurants and shops, and they all get full once the tourists start crowding in. There's a few of these little alleyways which have got tons and tons of steps up to the top, and again there's little shops and restaurants as you go up, and then when you get up to the top there's more restaurants, so it's well worth having a look. A lot of this isn't very accessible, I would say. You know, if you had a wheelchair, if you had walking difficulties, it's not very accessible if you go off off the main streets. There's lots of little gift shops and designer shops as you walk around as well. And this ground, I was going to say the floor, but the walkway does get quite slippy. I think it's made of limestone, so if it had been raining it would be quite slippy, so just watch your step. I think there's a monastery in here as well, so there's a group of monks there you can see. That dome is featured in Game of Thrones, again if you're a Game of Thrones fan. Unfortunately no dragon flying over. It's fascinating going down these little alleyways. That, like I say, there's just so much to see, and it's so clean. There's no litter or chewing gum on the ground or cigarette ends. Really, really clean place. I don't know how they do it, considering there's so many tourists go in here. Like I say, lots of little cafes and bars. It's probably about €10 for a half a litre of beer or a litre of beer. A litre of beer, about €10. Lots of Game of Thrones gift shops as well, heavily featured. And again, for Game of Thrones fans, this area will be quite noticeable. This is the market square, which is set up nearly every day. There's lots of fruits and vegetables and crafts and things. But the reason it's notable for Game of Thrones is this is the Walk of Shame. That Cersei comes down those steps at the top and walks down this area here. I'm doing it in reverse. I mean, I didn't take any pictures of it when it was busy, but it was absolutely packed by, say, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It is a very popular spot as well for vloggers and people taking photographs. and they take their time, you know. There's like one person posing on the stairs for about a good 10 minutes, so you have to, if you don't want to get other people in your shot, you have to wait your turn. There's lots and lots of steps in Dubrovnik Old Town if you go off the main road. Lots of little cats as well, which I have to stop and talk to. All of the cats in Dubrovnik Old Town are actually neutered, so they don't have a load of cats there. There's just the odd few. The view from the top of these stairs is really stunning. So you can see right down the street and up to the mountains. Beautiful views here. I hadn't actually noticed the guy in the background waiting with his crate of whatever he had for me to move so he could come up the stairs. These cats are quite timid as well. They'll sit if you don't go near them, but once you try and get close to them, they run. I think this is a church, because they looked like they were laying out flowers and obviously the grass and stuff for a wedding. So I think this is probably a popular area for weddings to take place. And we did actually see a couple who looked like they were they were a bride and groom. I originally thought they were maybe models getting the photographs taken down in the main area. But having come up here and seen these people setting up for what looks like a wedding, they might have actually been a real bride and groom. I'll put some pictures in along here just so you can see what I'm talking about. But this square was really pretty. Again, you can see the dome there, no dragon flying over. Just so much to look at. It takes a lot of walking around as well. There you can see the full church there. Beautiful, beautiful place. And there's the bride and groom. They were having their photographs taken on those steep stairs I showed you earlier. You'd never get stuck for restaurants or somewhere to eat in this place. There's just tons of them. And I don't think you can get lost either. Even though there's so many little winding alleyways, all of them, because it's in a walled town, anywhere you go is going to lead either to the town walls or back into the centre, so you can't really get lost. But like I say, it's probably not very accessible if you've got some kind of walking difficulties, because there is lots of steps. But it was just fascinating to walk through these little alleyways. Quite a few tours you can do around Dubrovnik Old Town. We did a Game of Thrones tour that took us to several places where they'd filmed parts of it. But you could do a historical tour of Dubrovnik. You could do a guided tour of the wall. We didn't take a guided tour of the wall, we just did it on our own. But I wish we'd done the historical tour as well, but we didn't get round to it. You saw lots of people congregating on those steps towards the end of the day as well, taking a much needed rest. Lots of walking. Definitely not a relaxing holiday if you go to Dubrovnik. There is a lot of walking there. And we visited Dubrovnik Old Town, I think maybe 4 times in the week we were there. Like I said earlier, we stayed it was about a 15-minute bus ride out of Dubrovnik in a place called Lapad. If you haven't watched the Lapad video, I'll put a link in the description box below. but we did go in, I think it was about 4 times we went in, because there was just so much to see. And it was nice just to sit in, you know, outside in one of the cafes, just watching Dubrovnik Old Town go by, really. People watching. Some spectacular buildings, there really is. I wasn't sure how they got their deliveries in and out for these restaurants and stuff. I couldn't see a place where it was obvious they came in and out. I'm sure there must have been. There's a lot of churches and a cathedral in this old town as well, and later on in the video I'll put some clips in of the insides because they're absolutely stunning. That building in the bottom has a memorial room in for the people who died in the Yugoslavian war. This is the Onofrio fountain, and you can actually drink the water from there. So because you do so much walking and it was really hot, you could go and fill your water bottles up, so you didn't get dehydrated as you walked around. And if you were about to walk the wall, you definitely needed to fill your water bottles up. These are the inside of the churches and the cathedral I was talking about. Just, you know, absolutely stunning inside. Just so much to look at. Always very peaceful in these places as well. This is outside of the walled city, where again, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, this is Blackwater Bay. Just stunning views from here. They did have a little cafe outside there where you could sit, but it was really hot. There's a little restaurant just at the top of the road there, if you wanted a bit of shade to have some food in. And this is us just about to go and walk the walls. I'm not sure why Warren is filming my backside, but apologies for that. These are the steps going up to the wall. Really lots of steps, very steep. I was absolutely shattered by the time I got to the top, and then you get a bit of a straight bit, and then you get more steps. But it is worth it, you know, if you're able to walk it. That is Lokrum Island, you can see in the background. That just looks pretty much nothing from there. But in my next video is about Lokrum Island, and it is absolutely stunning on that island. Takes about an hour and a half to walk this wall. And there is a couple of cafes along the way, so if you want to stop off, you know, make some time to, you know, do that. You could spend a good 2 hours up there. Like I say, spectacular views. I see Blackwater Bay down there. It's not really called Blackwater Bay, but again, if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you'll know what I'm talking about. That is where the cable car goes up to, at the top of that hill. You can see these people's houses and balconies as you walk along the wall, and I hadn't realised there would be, you know, like residential buildings so close to the wall. Must be fascinating to live there. Well, you wouldn't get a lot of privacy with all the people walking around. The sea looks gorgeous as well. It's very tempting to go in for a swim, which you can go kayaking in what I'm calling Blackwater Bay. Not that we did. This is one of the little cafes that I was talking about that you can have a rest in as you walk along. It was early when we walked the wall as well, which I highly recommend, otherwise it does get really busy and you're waiting for people to go upstairs and to get past. This little cafe had an art shop attached to it, which is worth a look in. You can get a cup of coffee, a snack. I think they did pizzas. I wish they did big mugs of coffee though in Dubrovnik. These little espresso ones just don't do it for me, I'm afraid. You can see the Dubrovnik fortress in the distance where a lot of Game of Thrones was filmed as well. When we did the Game of Thrones tour, we actually walked up to the fort, which again, a lot of steps. But if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, then it's well worth doing the tour. There are quite a few of them. I think I said earlier you could get a guided tour of the wall, which might have been quite interesting because obviously they would point other things out as you go along that maybe we didn't notice, but we just decided to walk it ourselves. It is quite narrow in places and the walls are quite low in places, and like I say, lots of steps. I wouldn't want to take small children up there. A random basketball court. I love these terracotta roofs, they just look so pretty. You definitely want comfortable shoes on when you're doing this walk, or even if you're going into the old town, comfortable shoes. I think I had me Fitbit on when I was there, and there was one day I think I did 18,000 steps. It is a lot of walking. But I did feel better for it. That is the harbour you can see from the wall. Lots of seating areas around there, so if you want to just sit and watch the boats come in, that's a nice place to sit. Again, lots of restaurants around that area as well. And if you are a Game of Thrones fan, you may notice this, you may recognise this bit from one of the Game of Thrones episodes on Karth. But this is actually part of the city walls. There again you can see the fortress in the distance, and there's the town where you get the bus to. We've just finished walking the walls. I'm absolutely shattered and I'm having a pint of beer. Cheers. So I hope you enjoyed that walk around Dubrovnik Old Town and the city walls. If you do get the chance to go to Dubrovnik, I highly recommend it. It is a beautiful place, absolutely stunning, and I would definitely go back. And if you've already been, let me know which part you enjoyed the most. I'm just going to leave you here with some photographs that you may not have seen during the video, during the walk around. So please stick around and watch them. There are some more Dubrovnik cats on the end. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Don't forget, I still have the Lokrum Island video coming up, which is well worth a watch. So I'll see you soon, and bye for now.